And yeah, I just want to welcome everybody back to another AMA with the Future Lounge. Today we have Lars and Jay from the Fight for Hope project. Guys, firstly, welcome to the Future Lounge. I'd like you to, if you can, to introduce yourselves and tell us a bit about the project.
Thanks, Sam, for having us here today. My name is Lars Fabricius. I'm Danish. I'm currently sitting in Spain. I actually live in Portugal and I travel a lot. A little bit about me and my background, how I came into this space. When I was young, I started messing around with computers. I went into development. At that time, it was Web 2 development, web shops, all of these things. And I have stayed as an informatic now for the best time of 17 years. And then when Bitcoin came out in the early days, back in 12, 13, then we were using Bitcoin as a new technology. And I'm one of the fools who have bought more pizzas than anybody with Bitcoin. So that was my early introduction to it. That hurts a lot now, but yeah, fun aside from that. So I had an early adoption into crypto. I got in with Bitcoin, was very cheap, very young project. And then in the late 1920, we started up our development company, developing for Web3 applications. This went very slow and not something that we went very hard in. My development company at that time was focused on Web2 development. In late 2020, 21, this changed, and now we are a Web3 development and basically outsource most of our Web2 development unless that it's security based. What have I done as informatic over all these years? I started as a normal developer, then I went into security, Web2 security, and most of these contracts, when you work for big companies, banks, or financial institutions, are under NDA, non-disclosure agreement. So that I was working under for the best part of 7 years. Both me and part of my company was engaged with this activity. So Web2 security and security in general is my core background for development. Now we are a development company. We are around, in the Web3 development, we are around 20 people. In the game studio, we have 13 people. Then we have some designers. We have around 8 that are fixed designers on our team. And then we have a big group of freelancers, both developers, game developers, and designers. All of this comes together as an agency that's called Rabona Labs. And that's Rabona Labs who are launching it. I'm sole owner of Rabona Labs. From here, we are launching the game. And this is our first game from our game studio. And we are coming live with this as a branding project. We have been working approximately close to 11 months now on this project specifically. With a group both from the content developers, game developers, designers, to make this project. And now we are coming live with the project called Fight for Hope. It's a space game. We have initially launched it for PC. We have already adopted an Android version because it was demanded by the community. And we have a lot more exciting things coming up that I will tell more about when we move forward in the AMA. But I would also like you to introduce one of the core members on my team, our marketer, Jason, who stands for the marketing and getting awareness out for the project.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Lars. Well, guys, my history is not nearly as impressive as Lars, but I started off in the space as an investor. I was lucky enough to have a few close friends locally here who were heavily involved in the trading space. So I was able to hit the ground running. I noticed that I had a lot of connections that other people didn't have, and I noticed how a lot of people were being taken advantage with some services and votes. So I slowly started getting involved in that by helping projects out, and realized that I actually had a knack for it. So over the past 14 months or so, I've been building that up, building up my network, helping projects consult, trying to research and help forecast market conditions, specifically as it relates to fundraising or community building and overall launching strategies in the meme coin space, the DeFi space. I've got a lot of tight relationships through my network with top tier CEXs, service providers, deliverables, you name it. So I was very excited to jump on the team with Lars. His vision really spoke to me. What they're doing here with Fight for Hope was a lot different than all the other projects that have come across my desk. These guys came prepared with a complete game. So immediately I kind of fell in love with it, and I was happy to join. But yeah, that's me. Nice to meet you guys, everybody, and I'm happy to be here.
Fantastic. Well, a wonderful introduction into yourselves. Really do appreciate it, guys, giving us a bit of an overview of, the team that's working very hard for the project, and everything that you guys have kind of brought together. Lars, you did a wonderful introduction, not only introducing yourself, but giving us a bit of insight on the people actually developing the game. When it comes to looking at GameFi, that's one of the big questions I think we do tend to have. And again, just as an overview, when I get to interview GameFi projects, Kay might have told you already, it's my bread and butter. It's the area I specialize in, and I'm very happy to talk to you guys today, because after watching the teaser trailer, after seeing everything that you guys have got coming up, it is a very, very exciting take on what you're doing. And I think if to put this in the best way, when I talk to a lot of GameFi projects, I want their game to look playable, look exciting to gamers, even if crypto wasn't involved in it at all. Take out the crypto element, take out any sort of those aspects and the benefits that has. But if you were to take and remove all that, at the end of the day, is your game still enjoyable? Would it still appeal to both like a casual and a hardcore gaming audience? And just based on first impressions, I feel like you guys are both aiming for that and starting to tick that off the box, because again, looking at comparative games, I would highlight games like for the space sims. I played a lot of Elite Dangerous in my formative years. I played a few more kind of those like space sim games, but then to have it combined with Battle Royale, which has been a very popular genre lately. We've seen it kind of rise with PUBG, and then Fortnite, and then every other spin-off that came from it, Apex, everything else. It's kind of very difficult to enter into that market and offer something unique, some sort of twist that's going to be your unique selling point when competing in that market. So before we jump into the meat and bones of the GameFi of it, the gamification of it, or like the blockchain aspects of it, I want to jump into a bit more about the decision that you guys came to combine both the space sim and the battle royale together to make this a truly unique experience for the players.
So one of the reasons that Battle Royale was decided was because you have this open adoption game where you can play a Battle Royale game between 8 players, but you can also be 20 players. You can also be a lot more. But if you pick up a dogfight game or a team game, then you are limited to having a certain amount of players to start the adoption. So that was the reason that we decided to put Battle Royale over the team play. The team play, for those who have followed our roadmap, can see that it's already scheduled for Q1. So it's not because we are not taking that approach, but for the full adoption, the plan and everything to work out, we have found out we have estimated from the numbers that we could get that the best action would be to go for a battle royale game. as the initial game mode, but we have a big roadmap for this game. Only around a year is published, but internally we are sitting with a 10-year plan for this game and where we want to go with our game, with our product. So that's the overall why we decided the Battle Royale game.
Fantastic. And then what was the reason that you went with a kind of a space related game, you know, going for the space flight and that whole concept, and really bringing that aspect to it? Because again, in my head, I think of the connotations or the similarities that, you know, when we look on the blockchain and cryptocurrency, there's this constant desire to like go to the moon, for example, or like, you know, almost like we're always aspiring for space, right? So it seems kind of awesome that you guys have brought that in as such a core element of the background for the game itself.
And that actually comes out through coincidence, I have to be honest. So what I'm sitting with from the game studio, to speak what we are doing from the game studio, we agreed that we were going to launch a brand game to show out the studio. This is a studio that I purchased this year, but I started working with them last year. But this year I went in and fully purchased the studio. The studio is sitting in India. They are not sitting in Europe with me, but we simply purchase them in to be a part of Robona Labs and only develop for us and our clients and our ecosystem. The reason why we ended up in space is because we were sitting with different kind of game modes, different games, both mini games, bigger games, and we were going for the graphics because we wanted to impress the public with different things, but not only our development. Design was always a big eye catcher. And to be honest, personally, we were long into the decision of this project before I actually realized what I had done, that I had went to space and beyond moon, because for those who take a big interest in the game can see that the planet that you see is not the planet Earth. We are longer out in space, a space that we don't know in real life, but that's where we ended up. And this wasn't really my intention from the beginning, to be honest. It wasn't something that I had thought about, but the graphics took me, the gameplay took me. I'm sitting with 4 other very big games that have also been developed by other game studios that we have connected to us, but they couldn't reach this level. So for the branding game that we want to launch for Robona Labs, that is why we ended up with this space and all of that, because it is so impressive what we can do with graphics out in space and lights and animations, everything. And that was why we ended up with the decision. The decision was taken together with my management. My management are non-crypto people. They are development or agency people. And it was us taking the initial decision to go forward with this game instead of one of the other games that we also had to move forward with. And that was how the decision ended up.
Ah, fantastic. And just for anybody listening in, I would highly recommend just to get a bit of an idea of what Lars has been speaking on there. I've just posted the Flight for Hope community teaser, the trailer that you guys posted on YouTube that I was researching before. And I think that does a great job of highlighting just the level of kind of graphic quality and this overwhelming element that you get of being in space and the environment they were able to build. And I can easily understand why you kind of gone for this project, this team that you've worked with for the flagship project, let's say for your studio. So it makes complete sense. Very, very exciting. On the visual side, looks very impressive. I would easily put it alongside, again, I'll keep catering back to it, but I think the one who did do the space sim the best right now are like both Elite Dangerous and EVE Online. And I think the graphics by far are on par, if not somewhat exceeding them. Obviously, you're not going to be on the grandest scale as Elite Dangerous because that's the whole universe aspect. But in terms of bringing the same level of graphics and quality to the table, I think you guys are reaching that for sure. which is amazing. And just to get a better understanding of how long this has been in development for people listening, can we get an idea of how long the team's been working on this, from the ideation to where it is now, how long it's been in development, and then how long you expect to continue to support it until you're at your MVP?
So from the development, we started the initial plans and everything with our gaming venture back in October last year. We started with different game studios, and we also have more. Now I'm highlighting a game studio because that's the game studio that belongs to me, but we have external partners, also third parties. But we started in October last year. This game went into development in November last year, and here we are sitting today. So that's the best part of 10, 11 months.
Fantastic. So 10, 11 months in the work. And in terms of the stage that you believe the game to be into now, I saw that you guys do have a play now. It sends you over to kind of a Google Drive, which I assume people can unzip and have a playable version. But would you consider that alpha, beta? Where do you think you guys are in terms of release?
This is a beta version, and this version that's here is a bit older than the version that's going to be released at launch with NFT logic and everything. The version we have is connected to BSC testnet. Regarding the game development, what we have done is we know we are going towards a tough market in the corporate world, in the normal world. And for this reason, we have secured from Rabona Labs that our core team is now secured for the next 24 months in terms of funds to pay salary out to people. So that's where we are going in securance for our company. Of course, our company is also taking clients. We are many people, so it's not only this project. But in terms of this project, there has been allocated 2 years worth of funds for the core team to be paid throughout the next 2 years, and they will be attached to the project throughout. We have a 10-year plan, but due to payment that I have already made secured in a bank account, that we have done for the next 24 months, and that will give us enough time to get together more funds to run a business. Normally, cash flow in businesses goes from month to month and not so long out in the future. I run my thing different. So to secure for a bear market, the first thing I do is to secure my core team, because without my core team, I am not as powerful as I am alone. So this is where we are going to go. This is not a ready AAA game, that I have to say honestly. We are on a good road to get there, I think. Now we have a very good game now. In Q1, there's going to come a huge update that will take us many miles forward. But to reach a AAA game takes time, because it's all about bug testing, it's all about anti-cheating, it's all about all of these things that we have to get in order. And realistically, to make a AAA game, we at least need 18 months on the floor with adoption for everything running smoothly, servers, everything. There's so many aspects in all of this. So realistically, to hit a AAA game, my goal is 2024, 2025. I will comfortably say that now we are a AAA game, and we are on the league of all the other names that you can name that's not connected to blockchain. But right now, I think we are standing with a very enjoyable game, and with very nice graphics, and everybody who join now can also be part of the venture. We are an open team, which means we listen to all our players, so you can be part of our future. Of course, we have clear plans ourselves, but we always listen to our community to get the game on the best level that we can. And the goal is that this has to outgo any AAA game on the market.
Fantastic. And again, such a wealth of information to cover, but Firstly, amazing that, like you said, you've already put up the funds, 2 years guaranteed salary for all of the core team working on it. So regardless of market conditions, both, like you said, in the, quote, real, like corporate world, and what we considered to be a very substantial bear market in the crypto phase, we know that the team can continue work, continue to develop the project, continue to develop the game to a high standard, to a good standard, continuously through that time period. Again, there's been so many GameFi games that I've been interviewing where they're very volume dependent, right? They need the NFT sales or they need the token sale and generation in order to continue on to their goals, where you've clearly gone out and been like, no, I don't want to be dependent on current market conditions. I don't want to be dependent on, either NFT sales or the token sale. I just want the team to be able to continue our, the goals, what we've set out on our roadmaps, and be able to achieve everything that we've laid out for them, which is first and foremost fantastic. I think it's something that not enough GameFi projects do, and I can see it's where you're definitely taking it as a far more serious a serious project when it comes to coming from the stance of, no, we're a development studio. We're competing with, real world studios within the gaming industry, and we're going to act like a studio within those industries rather than, we're blockchains. We do everything differently. We do it like a token project and happen to be creating a game. It feels, polar opposite from what you've been saying, which is a very refreshing change of pace, I've got to say as well. And to highlight there as well, what you're touching on again, which is so crucial, is player feedback and allowing them to help provide you guys everything that they see, what they might not, what they think is missing from the game that they want to see added in, any exploits that they could see coming through, or any game breaking bugs that, are taking away from the player's experience. You guys are happy to take all of that into consideration, have that open, responsive feedback, and then, allow that to help kind of steer the narrative of where the game's going to go and what it's going to be looking like in the future, for, like you said, the lofty goal of hopefully reaching those AAA standards, which again, it's one of those things, and I'm glad you admitted it open front here. You guys aren't at the level of AAA. I think when people say that they're at the level of AAA and then give us an endless runner or like a 2D side scrolling, I'm like, I don't think you understand what a AAA is. So I'm glad that you're very open and honest with that. You're like, look, we know we're not at that level yet, but it's something we're going to be working towards and hopefully being able to bring to you as the development continues, which is fantastic. I'm definitely going to want to jump into more about the game, and I could probably sit here and talk to you about purely just the game design, mechanics, and UI and everything else around that for the next 2 hours. What I do have to remember is obviously we're in an AMA with a lot of investors in mind. So I think it's very important right now if we can talk a bit about how the tokenization comes into play, how the NFTs come into play, what's actually turning this game, this battle royale space sim, into a GameFi, GameFi with blockchain integration that we've started to, come and love in the space. So how are you guys integrating your tokens and your NFTs throughout the game for investors to get involved?
So what we have done is we have went in, as you already said, we are going towards the normal game industry. The normal game industry is one of the biggest industries that are in the world, at least adoption-wise. We are talking over 3 billion players worldwide. So it's a huge industry. What we're doing with the NFTs is that the NFT is the entrance to play the game, and the NFT is tradable. The NFT is also upgradable, which means that you can upgrade your NFTs either during gameplay, which means that the game and your interaction in the game, killing other players, will level you up. Or you can pay that with the token as well. So that is the basic NFT logic. Of course, there's several ships. There's going to be one ship that's going to be at a fixed cheap rate mint. We're going to keep it under $10. It's going to be a small fighter ship. So everybody can come in. This is for adoption. Then there's going to be a few other spaceships. We're going to go live in version 1 with 3 size spaceships. One of the spaceships, other is also a fighter, but a bigger fighter. It can carry more weapons. And then we have a big tank kind of spaceship. And that one can, of course, carry a lot more armor, but is slower out in the space. So these are the three spaceships that we have. You can also see all the specs on our website. And this is NFT Logic version 1. I want to explain why are we doing a simple, I'm a Web3 company. For those who follow my company know that we have done great things in the Web3 world already. And for this is a low development NFT wise for us. The reason we have done it is because there is no viable API out there to connect games and actually get it working fluently. So in Q1, we will have a new map. We will come out with a skin set, and we will come out with at least 5 new spaceships. That's what we have ready now, but we have a designer that's sitting and playing with some things, so there might come more. But 5 spaceships in Q1 I can confirm, and by Q1 we will have our own API service developed ourselves, running with our own nodes. For those who follow my company, I'm a lot into green energy, so my nodes will be running on green energy certificated in Europe. As well. That was a little adding. So that's why NFT Logic version 1 is a little bit lower, and that is because the API is not stable enough for us to allow more transactions. And the competitors that are out in the space delivering these services, this is a third-party API. They simply cannot give us an API that's good enough for a reasonable deal. So for this reason, we are going live with a version 1 NFT and already have roadmapped the version 2 that's going to come live with also our own API that's going to be made by Robona Labs.
Fantastic. And again, just great to hear about, the logistics of what you're going through, making sure you're doing it at stable times where you can guarantee, like you said, people can have those seamless transactions and still go through, and you're not going to have anything that's overbearing, and still have a lot of stuff that you're coming out with in the later quarters that is very much, coming into its final phases, but doing it also strategically, because again, there's always the investment crowd and the player crowd that happens to, we always want more. We want to see continuous updates, especially when you're looking at games of long-standing games like in the Battle Royale genre, and even kind of later games. We want new content, we want new things coming out, and more things to go through, more maps to explore, more ships to try out and test. So I think also having, obviously your core reason was the APIs, but I think it's also good to stagger the releases then, because then you get, the invested in players also continuously get new content with the development of the game at a later stage, which is fantastic to hear as well. And coming into the portion of devil's advocate, which I always have to do during GameFi projects, is let's say I've got some BSC investors here, BSC crowd, who like what you guys have here. They can see the potential in it, can see that it could be a long-standing successful game, but they're not gamers themselves. They might not have any interest in actually playing the game. What would you say to them would be their inherent advantage, or their inherent reason that they should come in and purchase the tokens? What kind of reasons do you have for just sole investors rather than ones that might jump into the game itself?
So I see an investment like this, that you are investing in a startup, you're investing in a vision. So if you believe in our vision and you believe in our game, that should be the core reason. Now I know we are in crypto and investors think different than they do in the corporate world. We have set everything up like what needs to be to support a base token. So we have staking coming out next month. That will be in 4 tiers. It will be in an open tier without a lock time, and then there will be 3 different lock times with up to 6 months lock time for people who wants to show big trust and wants a bigger API. Then besides that, we already have planned in Q4 to bridge to at least Ethereum. We might go more networks as well. We have DEX, SEX listings, of course, DEX listing as well. As we go to Ethereum, we have to list on Uniswap, but we also have SEX listings roadmap up for Q4. We will start with smaller SEXs because we have to start in the smaller ends to get allowance and show volume to get up to bigger central exchanges. These are what is on the roadmap. For people who are sitting and listening here to the AMA today, I have a little teaser of something that we're working on. So besides the game being for gamers, of course, then there will be a lot of people who want to follow us but are maybe not gamers. So we are making a support program. We are making two systems. We are making one where you have a dashboard, a leaderboard that's going to be public, and you can bet against or in favor of players. That's going to be one thing. Many people like that aspect. And then what is interesting for me and what I haven't seen before is rental of NFTs, which means that we are deploying a smart contract between an investor and a player, and the player will probably be a player who is not so well funded, and the investor will probably be at least decently funded to buy one of the better NFTs, which are not gonna be very expensive either. But now I'm talking about people who are maybe living in Asia or countries where living standards and economy is at the lower rate. Then you can we have a rental platform, which means that the investor and the player gets together. The player takes care of the NFT. The NFT is going to see an appreciation in value, and after an agreed time period, the NFT will either be going back to the investor and the player will get a payment, or it will be set on auction, sold, and the profits shared. This is something that we're working on. I'm probably going to have this on the roadmap for Q2 next year, but this is something extra that we are adding in for the investors long term. And this is something we think will be very huge in the game industry. It's already big in the in Web 2 industry, and we want to take it into Web 3.
Fantastic. Well, already a lot there that I'm very excited about. I think something that is called for in a lot of the scenarios, and a lot of my community, as well as myself, look for, especially as we can imagine the NFTs are going to appreciate within these assets, and the game reaches new levels of popularity. It always comes to the barriers of entry for newer gamers. And if we look at the current demographic for Web3 GameFi games, a lot of the biggest markets are actually in India, Southeast Asia, South America, where forking over $100-$200 to the Western audience, to North Americans, Europeans, doesn't feel like much, especially when you've been in crypto for some time. It can be a massive barrier. So offering a secondary solution like the rental system, like you've just highlighted there, is going to be an incredible way to do it. And not even to overlook what you were saying earlier about the kind of gambling aspect, because at the being able to bet on players and current games based, and imagine you guys will have a ranked kind of leaderboard ranking where they can see the top players, see when they're fighting, and it will integrate nicely, I think, then to the esports aspect of that. Because if you want to look at some of the biggest esports in the world, they're all on the sports betting sites, right? So people are already used to betting on League of Legends matches, Dota matches. So it's awesome that you guys are going to make that an integral part of the game, where some of the investors, we're all DJ and gamblers here. It's why we're in a lot of L2 coins and L2 projects, can come on board. They might not have the skill set to play at higher end of gameplay, but they've been following a player, they like how they play, and they just want to see if they can make a little money or just have some fun while doing so. They can bet on those players, which is, I think, such a cool aspect to add and integrate within your own platform. That alongside the rental systems are going to be fantastic. Like you already touched on, you guys are also going to be implementing staking there on various levels. So even investors who just believe in the prospect of what you guys are doing, they believe that the token will appreciate over a vast period of time. They can get in early, stake their tokens for a given period of time, and then they'll see that return come through as well, which is amazing to see. Now, again, I'm going to be flooded with questions, and I know we're going to have a bunch from the community. So I'm just going to take two more very selfishly from myself, and then we'll open it up to the community to ask some questions. Firstly, my first question is to almost do the opposite end of question that what I just asked. In terms of onboarding the more casual and hardcore players and gamers that we see that haven't yet stepped into Web3, any sort of GameFi games, obviously you guys want to minimize their barrier to entry and get them onboarded as easily as possible. I could already see when I was reading through the white paper, you do still require people to have a MetaMask or another compatible wallet, as well as holding a minimum amount of BNB and some of your native tokens in order to get started in the game. So my question is, will that always be the requirement? Will you guys come out with a free-to-play at any point that people can try and test for themselves firstly? And will you help to educate people on how to get set up in L2 in buying amount of BNB, getting set up on MetaMask and buying your own tokens safely to help on board, those casual and hardcore gamers that we were talking about?
So for the regarding MetaMask, we need to have some kind of wallet to send transactions to the blockchain. What we can do is that if we had our own blockchain, now I started this introduction of myself saying that I'm making a blockchain on my other project, and that is our core project. So if we used my own project, my own blockchain, and we made it gas free and made my own wallet, then yes, of course we could get out throughout gas, and that would not be an issue. But as long as we stay on other networks, then gas is something that's required by the network, and not something that I can change. But what we do for the adoption is that we have made it very easy. We have prepared a lot of tutorials. My core project is all about teaching new people to come into Web3, and this we will continue to show out throughout our project Fight for Hope. So all tutorials, everything is gonna be there on the ready for people to start the adoption. But of course, we need to interact it with the NFT and everything for them to come online in the real game. What we have for people who want to just test, then we have the game file that is public now, that is on our website. I prefer people join us on Telegram and come into our gamers group so we can game together, but you are allowed to just take the files, download them. Then you can just skip log in if you don't want to enter Web3, if you don't want to see that the Wallet Connect functions, which is functioning with BSC testnet now. But if you don't want to see that part works and just want to see the game, you skip login, you enter, and then you get into the game. And this is an open map game, which means that it just adopts players. If you go in, I join in 10 minutes, we end up in the same map. So this is a nice place where people can try out. And this I'm gonna let stay available after launch for people who wants to interact, just see the game, see the product. But of course, it's gonna be a few updates behind the public version, and that's how it's gonna be.
Okay, fantastic. But no, great to hear, and great to hear how we can see that your main project, like you're talking about, and that its primary purpose already being to help integrate people into Web3, it can come into play heavily here and work in tandem with Fight for Hope, and then almost kind of blend the two, so we can get a lot of those the primary users of it within the gaming industry, the primary players onboarded and integrated, because I think that's such a crucial part for the success of any blockchain project or any project in the GameFi space is, how do we integrate more of these casual hardcore players? How do you convince them that they should be playing your game and learning all these extra barriers, extra hoops when it comes to, learning more about cryptocurrency? You need to make a game that's going to carry that incentive, be interesting and appealing enough for them to do so. And then for them to really understand what it means to own your own in-game assets, and not for it to be, be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on loot crates and, card packs and all this other digital content that essentially gets locked and is owned by the property of the company itself. You can't do anything with. I think that's such a good part of when we're looking at GameFi and NFT integration is, the assets that you're utilizing, you're playing with, and that could be appreciating in value are truly your own. And, that's where, GameFi is really going to come into play, and I hopefully be the next stage for the gaming culture in general. But, great to see that's something that you guys are spearheading as well. Amazing. Well, again, I'm probably going to run on a tangent. So last thing I want to touch on is obviously the competitive play and the aspects of that. Because again, looking at the success of games, the virality of games, it's because we, when we saw the success of Fortnite, when we saw the success of League of Legends, of Dota, it's because people could watch players that can play the characters, play at a kind of a pace that a casual player couldn't do. And, you'll start watching, you'll get integrated with them, you get excited to watch them because they're playing at just such a high skill set that it's very impressive to watch. So I'm interested to know how important that was for you when coming up with the competitive aspect. And maybe if you want to touch a bit along the line of some competitions, some tournaments, and a bit more about the esports integration that you guys have planned for down the line.
I think maybe, Jay, do you want to go over the competitions and these activities that we have planned out?
Yeah, of course. So we have two important competitions. The one we just announced today, and the other one we announced the other day. So the one is about gameplay. As you know, we discussed our goals is to create a community of gamers, mass adoption. So in speaking to that, we decided to create a contest in which we're giving away daily prizes for our gameplay. It's called the Killer King Contest. You get in there, you sign up, you fill the form. It's really simple. You let us know what your name is. We're publishing a leaderboard. We're going to have everything recorded for easy follow along so people can get into that competitive spirit. This way, what we're doing is we're focusing on our gameplay, our adoption, as well as rewarding our supporters. So it's a really good contest to really get that competitive edge going. Additionally, we think it's important to reward our users who are sharing our game. We want gamers, everybody out there knows either a friend who trades or a friend who games. As we know, this is a very popular and big industry. So if everybody could find one person, we can get to our 10,000 game player goal really quite quickly. So I will drop the information in here in the chat. Go to the form, register, sign up, share the gameplay link, whether it's the website. We have the files on the website now. So it's just simple. You go in there, you share who you shared it with, you have them fill the form. We'll go verify that they've played and you get 1 point. This contest is going to last for 2 weeks. At the end of these 2 weeks, we're going to give away, I think it's over almost there. I forget the total. I can't do the math quick here, but we're giving a lot of tokens. So it's very worthwhile. And all you have to do is have a good time and play the game. So that's how we're focusing on getting the competitive edge while rewarding our supporters and incentivizing gameplay.
And there's also a little add-on for those who decide to join our gaming group. Right now, the gaming group is on Telegram, but we will also make one on Discord because Discord is, of course, the strongest for gamers we know. But if you join our gaming group, then there will also be competitions pumping up on the day, on the hour. there will be competitions trying to kill me, trying to kill Jay, trying to kill other admins or ambassadors that we have in the game. We will do tournaments in Saturday evening, Sunday in the daytime, all of these. So people who want to interact a lot with us, people who like giveaways and competitions, join our gaming room and come and game with us. And I will put up rewards for anybody who can take me in the game.
And I also just want to touch on that, another follow-up, and thank you, Lars. For the people who, we understand this market is tough right now. Times are tough, and we're not here to separate anybody from, their savings or their investments. So we've got plenty of opportunities in our social army room. We invite our supporters to get in there, to jump on the raids, to share the gameplay. We're always giving away NFTs and tokens. So even if you're sitting there and you cannot get in as an investor, we still welcome you as a gamer. That is our goal. It always will be our goal. So please join all those rooms. Again, I'll drop those links to the gaming room, the social army, the main chat, all that stuff. Get in here, be part of the community, and you will have opportunities to get involved, whether it's an investor or a gamer, either one, we welcome you.
Amazing. I know what great points to highlight there, guys. So I really do appreciate you taking the time to go over that. And also all these exciting incentives for other investors to refer players, get other people in. Referral program, such a great way to organically grow your communities, but then also reward it through both play and and like more of the traditional social raiding community involvement. So being able to cater and reward people on various degrees. You're not just going to benefit the BNB whales, the Ethereum whales that can come in and buy up loads of your NFTs, loads of your tokens. It's as long as you're willing to be a passionate and engaged community member, they can get on board and be rewarded as well. So great to see that you're catering to everybody and making sure they feel welcomed as a part of your community, which is great. I'm sure I'm already very keen. The competitive nature of me wants to see if I can claim either a Lars or a Jay bounty. So you'll probably find me in the gaming room at one point. That sounds very exciting. Amazing, guys. Well, I'm going to have to stop my questions here because otherwise I will just keep talking. So guys, if you haven't already seen in the chat, if you would like to ask both Lars, Jay, anybody from the Fight for Hope team a question, please go ahead, type it in chat. Make sure to tag my name. Just a few rules, just to double check. Please make sure they're not long questions and you've filled it with a paragraph of waffle before getting to the point of your question, because it's really hard to proofread. So please keep them nice, short, concise questions, one question only. And if your question has already been asked or already been covered during the AMA, I will just skip over it. I do apologize, but just go back, listen to the recording, check out the website white paper. You'll find the information there. But yeah, without further ado, guys, let's jump into some community questions. So I think the first one I want to take is from Shyla. They just want to know, in terms of counteracting exploits and third-party malicious attacks and, people that jump into these games like PUBG, like the Battle Royales and use cheats, become a god mode, use aimbots. What sort of countermeasures have you guys put in place to ensure, it can't be so easy to cheat, especially when, it comes to financial incentive as well. It's going to be very, lucrative for, a third-party exploit or a cheater to come in and try and abuse. How are you guys countering that?
So the good thing is that now we are in Web3, which means that everything gets tracked, not only on our servers, but all upgrades will be tracked on the chain. So we can track everybody. We have basic cheating. We have everything in measurement. Our game studio is not people who started making games last year. They have been in the industry a lot longer than I have in the gaming industry. So I think we have covered all basic cheats, but there is no lie that there is professionals out there that abuses this, but the good thing here is we have tracking, and I come from the security world, so for our NFT logic, we have a perfect contract, a perfect system. So let's say that there would be somebody who managed to be able to go in and cheat. We will simply just delist their NFT, so it cannot be traded anymore, and it cannot interact in the game. And that way we will block out the whole wallet and blacklist it from entering the game. Of course, they can enter again, but when they see that they have no game, they will stop very quickly. We already manage data security, which means that I have developers sitting 24/7 watching databases for breaches and other financial securities in Web3, and they will just be watching this project under their surveillance, which we do for ourselves and all our clients. So that's how we will take measurements towards that. But we have already implemented basic cheat, everything in the public version that's live now on the testnet. The basic cheat hasn't been implemented, so anybody who tests that and say that they can cheat, yes, we haven't implemented in the public version. But in the version that goes live on launch, all the basic cheating, everything is already implemented. Everything we know and foreseen have been coded for prevention. And furthermore, we will sit and watch over the activities 24/7.
Fantastic. And yeah, great question there, Shiloh. Thank you for that. And I saw a similar question from Fred there, so hopefully that answers your question as well, Fred. Fantastic. Well, to jump into the next question I want to take is from Dira. They want to know, in order to maximize your NFT marketplace, what are your plans in regards to allowing other gaming projects to utilize the marketplace to list their own NFTs and assets, as it is likely to give you more publicity and yield more income, more revenue for you guys?
So here I have a short or a long answer. Yes, there is going to come a platform. This platform is going to be specified for GameFi projects, and we even have something even bigger for the gaming world regarding games and everything. So this is something that we have thought a lot of, and I can tell you our idea it's not gonna be live this next month, but it's gonna come live this year. Interacts Web2 games and Web2 skin trade into the same platform where we trade NFTs, and this will be something that's gonna be huge for the gaming industry.
Fantastic. And yeah, a lot to get excited for definitely down the line. While we're just on the topic of the NFT marketplace, I do just want to take the other question I see from Harmony. They want to know if the NFTs will also be available to list and trade on other third-party marketplaces, such as OpenSea, Tofu NFT, or Treasureland, to get more exposure to the NFT market.
We use one market that we will put out for the community, but the NFTs are available to move, transfer, and do anything you would like to them. You can make personal trades. I can send you a present, an NFT from one wallet to another. That could have been a private trade or just a pure transfer. All of these things I don't interact with. The only thing is, if you don't use our platforms, then I cannot guarantee that you don't get scammed. But if you use a public marketplace, then it should be safe. You know, OpenSea should be a safe marketplace.
Fantastic. And yeah, just a great question there. Thank you. Thank you both, Dira and Harmony, for those questions regarding the marketplace. And now a bit more catering back to the game itself. I've got a question here from Tina, and this was concerning the weapon attachments, which I don't think we covered very heavily. And they just want to know, since it's not permanently attached to the ships, would it need to be renewed, or does it have sort of a durability that eventually, you know, after a certain amount of uses, it would become useless and you'd have to purchase more? How does the weapon system work for the game?
So there isn't for the weapon system. You have your basic weapons and your basic capacity, but it fills up automatically. So, for example, a rocket, I think for the standard ship, if I don't remember wrong, reloading takes 8 seconds. So you can fire a rocket every 8 seconds, if I'm not wrong. And you will not run out of them in the first version of NFTs. And for the laser, which is the basic weapon, is also unlimited. So you don't have. I don't want to implement any pay features, so people will be obligated to pay. That's very important to know that. That's my vision. But furthermore, for optional, for everything that's optional for the player, there will be coming what we have now in version 1, and in version 2 there will be coming a big update towards that when we have our own API, a stronger API that we can control. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, fantastic. And yeah, so level 1, keep it very simple. And like you said, even in later versions, it's never going to be a measure of a requirement to purchase or do anything in order to play the game and constantly have, in-game assets that you need to constantly be purchasing or renewing. You want to make it very accessible and, minimize those barriers of entry. Something that seemed very prevalent in the earlier statements and through those methods that you're bringing on board, such as the rental system. Okay, fantastic. Well, great question there from Tina. Thank you for that. The next one we do have is from Scarface. Just before I ask this question, guys, do you have another AMA that you're going to be starting very shortly that you need to shoot off to? Or are you happy for us to take maybe like 5 more minutes of questions to tick over slightly to see if we can get some more of them answered?
We have time still. It's okay.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so let's jump into the question from Scarface. They want to know, when utilizing the game and playing, will there ever be a limit, a daily limit to the sort of earnings that one could get with the Flight for Hope game? Will you have any sort of caps put on for the amount of earnings that somebody could get in a 24-hour period?
So sorry, I just lost it there. There will not be any limit of hours that you can play. There will not be any limit of how much, there will be a limit of how big you can level your feature up in version 1. As soon as we come to version 2, it's going to be based more on skins. Skin is going to be a big feature, as we know in all gameplays they are. So we will not put any limits, but it's important to remember the main earning feature. Besides, we're gonna hold competitions and all of these things that will give earning directly. Then the big earning in this is the appreciation in the NFTs leveling up, being better than other NFTs, and reselling them on the marketplace, which means that we are not afraid of an abuse. We don't have allocated 10 million tokens that is going to be spread out throughout the next 6 months in the game and going to drain our economy, and we need tax to keep that going. No, that would be that's a play to earn economy that wouldn't be substantial, because I would need to guarantee at 10 million, just to say something, at 10 million volume on a daily basis, which I can't guarantee. That's something, what happens tomorrow is not something that I can guarantee. I can aim for it, I can work for it, but if we actually reach the goal or not is not certain. So that's why we have set it, the earning features, more realistically, and it will still be big earnings, for people. This is something that I want to go into quickly, is scams in Web2 world is very, very big, and that's where I think in the gaming world, not only for Fight for Hope, but Web3 games in general, that's where I think we are going to come a long way, is by preventing that scam. And when gamers in the Web2 world realize that this is what Web3 have to offer, then I think we will see a mass adoption, also from old games adopting over to new technology.
Yeah, 1,000%. And yeah, very, very excited to see when that adoption finally comes through, and hopefully you guys can be one of the projects spearheading it. Amazing. Well, yeah, great question there, Scarface, as well. So thank you. And the next question I did want to jump from is Rising Star, and I think this is more to do with the optimization of the game and the minimum requirements. So just to onboard, are there any minimum spec requirements that somebody would have to meet in order to play the PC version of the game? And how have you ensured that it's not overbearing while still, while still ensuring good graphic quality and a smooth game performance?
So Jay, meanwhile I talk, maybe you could forward in the requirements to the chat. And then yes, there is requirements. They're actually not so big for the computer, but a strong network is required. And the same for the Android version. You need something about 6 gigabyte RAM. Then you can run the game. Of course, a stronger phone will make everything smoother, but most of all, we have to remember we are in a multiplayer map. We are live streaming that map, which means that we need a powerful network to not have lag. The lag doesn't go back to the game, it goes back to the strength of your network. We have made the game in Unreal 5. The Unreal 5 came out in May this year, and we are one of the first games to launch with the new engine. The new engine is very big, have very high graphics. That's the amazing work that we see, but it comes with its requirements. Which is also why we made the Android version. The Android version is less heavy. We have downgraded some things that we saw less important to make it playable from almost any decent Android phone today. So this is what we did. And this Android version was a version we came out with, again, for adoption of the game. So we know that many people maybe don't have a computer that's strong enough to run the game, and now we have Android or have any computers at all for that matter, and now we have the Android version as well. But it is a heavy game. You cannot get everything. We cannot get awesome game, big, awesome graphics, NFT logic, everything, and compile it down to 1 gigabyte. It's simply not possible.
Okay, yeah, fantastic. And yeah, just a good point to cover for everybody, adding again the value of why you guys came out with the Android version and how that is making it, a lot more accessible for, general users. And again, if we look at, we were talking about the numbers on the gaming industry. If you look at the specs of the gaming industry, the massive market is in mobile gaming. To the dismay of every, dreamed up game developer that I've ever come across that wants to create, high fidelity, amazing quality games, all at AAA spec standard for, PCs and, needing the latest graphic cards. It's not very profitable, unfortunately. You need to be able to cater to a much bigger market, a much wider audience. So great to see that's something that you guys have incorporated through downgrading certain aspects in order to make it playable on Android as well. Fantastic. Well, let's take one more question from the community, and then we'll wrap up the AMA for today. I want to take this question, which comes from Cherry. They've asked, it's in regards to the spaceship maintenance that's stated on the white paper, that people will need to spend some tokens in order to maintain your spaceship. How much do you expect that to be, and will it remain at a fixed amount in terms of your native token, or could we see a sort of Oracle system where it will only ever be a certain amount of tokens in relation to their US dollar value?
So we had to do a little change there, and now I caught that I haven't got it changed in the white paper. What stands in the white paper is true. The repairing part will come in the Q1 upgrade. What we have now is instead the level up system is powered by the token, which means that instead of repair, you level up your version 1 NFTs. and that you can do with tokens. And the exact amounts and everything we are finally calculating now to make sure that, of course, it should not be too cheap because you can level up a full NFT. So we will have to put some limits in the beginning. The lower levels you can level up quite cheap, and then to get it up to maximum level, that's gonna be quite expensive, and that's because we want a leverage over gamers in comparison to non-gamers, because you can upload the game, you can upgrade your NFT either in-game or out-game, and then resell it like you have been playing for. Let's say that it takes 1,000 hours to reach the same upgrade. So that is still something we are calculating a little bit about, and we will keep that open so it's mostly fair towards players over investors.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, very, very important aspects there. But yeah, great question there, and I think a good one to close out. I'm very, very. I know it taking away somewhat directly from you, Lars, but very, very happy with the quality of questions, guys. So really thank you for all the great questions. Clearly showing that you guys are doing some research, checking out the white paper, checking out the website, or have just been actively listening to both Lars and Jay and listening to all the great information they've given you, basing your questions on that. So I really do appreciate that. For anybody whose questions we didn't unfortunately get around to asking, there were so many that came through. Unfortunately, we just don't have the time for them. Please make sure you guys navigate to the Fight for Hope Telegram. That's in our latest pin message. I'm sure both Lars, Jay, the rest of the team, moderators, community will be more than happy to help you guys out with any questions and concerns you guys have. So please navigate over there for any further questions, and to just go show some love from the Future Lounge. Get involved with both their gaming lounge that Lars mentioned if you're looking to collect on some bounties, or even join up with their social community, so you can get on board and help them raid, help them share, help them spread the awareness of the project, and maybe get rewarded with some nice NFTs and tokens for doing so as well. But yeah, as we fall into the final moments of the AMA, I just want to hand the microphone back to you, Lars, and to you, Jay. Please let us know any crucial information you think we haven't touched on yet, and if people are interested in investing, where they should head to.
Jay,
Sure.
do you want to take the investment part and everything?
Yeah, so guys, we got tons going on this week. Our launch date is going to be October 4th. The pre-sale is going to be ending later today. So we've got a jam-packed week coming up with tons of marketing to get that launch hype. So we've got over 20 influencers and call groups. We got a few crypto publications on some very important sites coming up. We got 4 AMAs planned. We're going to get KuCoin, Bog, banner ads, that perhaps some Coin Sniper ads. We got a big surprise coming with streamers and ambassadors. So we're going to have some big names streaming the gameplay, and as well as our contest. So if you want to get involved, the pre-sale still, it's open for a little bit. You can go, I'll share the link there. And then alternatively, come play the game, come get involved. Like we said earlier, we got daily prizes for the gameplay. So come have some fun, kill some friends, and get rewarded for it. It's all about a community, bringing people together. So like I said before, welcome to have you, whether you're an investor or a player. Both are equally as important, more so even the gaming. We just want guys in there enjoying themselves and having a great time. So thank you very much for having us today, guys.
And final words from me, for anybody who are interested in this, join it. This is a branding project from our company. We are all about adoption. That's what we're gonna do. That's what we are interested in. This week we're gonna see a huge adoption. We can already see we have had 300% on the game server over the last 2 days of some new initiatives that we have started. For me, it's gonna be all about the game. We are a corporate. You're not investing into a shitcoin. You're investing into a long-term project. We are always around. You can come into my chat. You can request my information. I have a game school on YouTube. I have had AMAs for other projects that's recorded, that's year old. So I'm a known person to the space, and you can also get the information regarding my company if that's something that should interest anybody. So come join if you want to be part of something big that we are going to do. We are going to take for real gaming industry into Web3. That's our goals, and we are not stopping before we reach our goals. And we are also not a pump and dump. Our focus is not on the pure chart, what happens on the daily activities. That I have hired Jay. That's his concern. He can lose sleep over the chart. For us as a company, it's about gamers. It's about the game. My first goal is 10,000 players. Yesterday we had a bit over 300 connected, so I'm not happy. But we have seen a big adoption over the past 2 days. Today we have over 300 who have connected already, so we are going in the right direction. But we will reach 1,000 players hopefully today, tomorrow, and then we will go towards my goal, which is 10,000. That's an initial goal. That's just for the game to be fun and adaptive. And from there we will go out. There is 3 billion gamers. Of course, not all gamers have the segment of a battle royale space game, but we want a big part of that share. And our focus is gonna be take players that are not into crypto, people who are not into crypto, and bring them along. So we would like anybody who joined from the crypto space, be along, help people get in, be very polite to people. There will come a lot of people who don't have a MetaMask. They don't know what it is. They don't understand what gas means, and we should help them in as a community to make this fun. And if we are to be the first to manage to get mass adoption in gaming industry with adoption from the Web 2 world, then I think we can all know that Sandbox and all of the other projects that are highly listed, they will be under us.
Amazing. Well, some fantastic final words from you there, Lars. I really do appreciate it. Jay as well. Thank you guys for your time today. Firstly, for choosing the Future Lounge, and secondly, for coming on, letting us know more about your project and all the exciting information that you've given us here today to get everybody here hyped and ready just prior to obviously your pink sale. Your pre-sale closing up. So really do appreciate it once again, guys. I do apologize again for my slight delay there. Again, it was a little mix up with my admins, but I'll make sure they're heavily reprimanded so it never happens again. And I'll be punctual with you guys next time. But yeah, absolute pleasure being able to hear from you. I'm sure you'll see myself alongside many of my community members heading over and seeing some familiar faces with you within your community. But I just want to say as well, whenever you guys do want to come back, if you ever want to come back to the Future Lounge, either to give us any exciting updates that's coming on with the game. Lars, I know you said you've got some other projects in the work and some other stuff coming out. Anytime you want to give us some alpha, a juicy alpha onto that, you're more than welcome to, or just to stay and hang out in a BSC investment group. We'd love to have you guys here and interacting with the community. So you're welcome back anytime, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure having you today.
Thanks a lot for the kind words.